What's happening, everybody? Today I will be talking about my experience at a all predominantly white school. But before I do that, I'm gonna play my introduction, and I will be back after do that because I love my introduction, and I think it needs to be heard. So this is something that's dear to my heart, and I'll tell you more about it as time moves on in terms of who kind of inspired me to actually do the this video. Here we go.
That's right. We're on live. We're gonna get this thing done one way or another. What's up to y'all?
All right, now that I got it together, welcome to Third Eye Visions, where we motivate the blind, stimulate your mind, and welcome all kind. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience at an all white, white school today, and hopefully I have my mom. She's going to be on here giving her a recall as to what transpired during the time I had to consider a school, or they had to consider a school back in 1973. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the video. Okay, this is some interesting stuff that I be trying to bring on, and I want y'all to be a part of it. But for me, for if you don't want to share it, it doesn't do you know any good, and because I'm trying to get the message and stuff like that out. But this is some interesting stuff. So I'll be doing my whole hour, I guess, of just talking about what my experience was like at a all white school, and I'll give y'all a little history about the school and things like that. But excuse me, I went to a school for the visually impaired on Government Street, and uh, I think it was in 1973. Yeah, 1973 is when I actually started attending the school. Not really realizing what it was all about because I was only 5 years of age. Um, but my mom and father, they put me in this school, and not knowing that it was a predominantly white school that I went to. And I promise you, during the course of this interview and this information, that I will give you nothing but the truth, nothing but what I actually feel, and how things turn out to be. And I have a few clips that I'm gonna play as well in the process, though. But meanwhile, talking about going to, I'm very cognizant of my heritage at this point now, and my blackness is what I really love and whatnot. But just going to to the school for the blind, which is what it was called at that time, um, it was an experience. I mean, I will be talking about some of the indirect comments that were made to me by uh, white teachers that I really didn't really think too much of it. But after uh, really sitting back and thinking about it, some of those statements that were said were sort of prejudiced. But I want to thank my fiance for giving me the guidance to understand what was going on, because we were doing some things a couple of months ago or weeks ago, and she brought this to my attention, and she said, "Well, why not, Anthony, do something of this nature to talk to the people and let them know?" Because I didn't really realize the impact that I really had as a black person going to the school for the visual. impaired, or going to the school for the blind on Government Street, which is what it was then called before they were integrated with. There was another blind school out on Southern's campus, and those individuals who are in Baton Rouge, they actually know where Southern, and where what I know about Southern and then abroad as well, but just more so about the blind school. But there was a blind school, a school for the blind on Southern campus, which I was not really aware about at all. And so that prompted me to main because I was in this part of the city to focus on the schools that was in basically my area. But they did have a school for the blind on Southern's campus, which was called I think she told me it was called the School for the Colored or something to that effect. There were no white kids at that school. I did not attend that school at all. But we actually merged in 1978, and there weren't that many black. As a matter of fact, there was only two, and I let my mother tell more about it. Two black kids at the school, and you know, it was just was an experience because as a blind person, I really didn't experience the overt racism, knowing that racism did exist, but I didn't really feel it at that time. But after, like I said, as I sit back and think about it, it kind of hit me and kind of hurt me in the aspect because when I analyzed after analyzing what people were really saying and how they were saying it, that was really something that kind of bothered me at the time. But I persevered and I moved on from all that. But I never really thought about the impact and the movement that I have created. And I want to say a big shout out to Ruby Bridges. Y'all go look her up and say no more about that. She was an individual who was the first individual to integrate schools. I think it was here in New Orleans. As I digress. But yeah, I went to the school for the visually impaired, 73, graduated in 1986. But just to give you a little bit more history, all together, all the way up until 1978, there were three black students. And I think there was one cafeteria worker, Miss Eunice, who she's no longer with us, and neither is Tamika Jackson. But there were three black students that were there all the way up until 1978, and I think I was in fourth or fifth grade when the school actually emerged. But from 5 years of age up until then, I don't want to say that I did not experience any racism, any type of um, overt racism, but there was some that existed. So I'm gonna stop right here, and I'm gonna call my mom and get some information as to what what she felt and how things were as far as when she got me to go to that school for the vision impaired. So hold on for a second. So y'all hold tight. I'm gonna call. What time is it? Before well, I told 4-8, but anyway, it's gonna be a little early. But I want to get her impact as to what it was like when I went to the school for the vision impaired. Hold on. Hold up. It was an experience, and I'm gonna be on here for a minute, and we're gonna talk about that. Yes. Today I'm doing a little interview, a little expose about what it was like as far as me going to an all white school, visually impaired person out there on Government Street. And I have my mom on the phone, and she's going to talk to you and explain to you exactly how it was, what she, how she found out about the school and what she experienced putting her son into the school for the vision impaired. Hello, mom. Okay. How did you really find out about the school for the visually impaired? Mhm.
Street, and I used to see the school for the blind, and that's how I know that was a blind. That was a school for the blind, handicap.
Hmm. Now, did I mean it, so? I mean, I went to school at what about? I was like 5 years of age, about
Uh
five.
huh.
Now, knowing that there was segregation during that time, when, which was like in 1973, did you know, or did you visit the school first of all?
Yeah, I went over to school to register for school,
What did you?
and so
Go
when
ahead.
they told me that it was is no black was there, and so I registered anyway,
So,
and so the only person when I registered, they finally got you in there about a couple months after they got you in there,
mm,
but you were the only black boy was in the school
mm. So
until they had another little girl.
Tamika, and she's no longer with us. So I mean, they, I mean, they actually told you that there was, I mean, there was
They
that.
actually said they didn't have any black people in the school.
And how did you feel about actually putting me in there? Did you still determined to put me in there regardless?
Huh?
You
I
was
raised you in there.
right. So even though they said
When
that.
I raised you in there, they had to take you.
Right, right, right. So I want to get you on here so I can get the first hand experience, because this was like talking to the audience. This is the first time that I had ever heard of something of this magnitude in terms of me experiencing that, and this made me basically be the first or the second black person at the school for the school
Right.
for the blind to actually integrate their school and whatnot. Did you once you put me in the school? I was 5 years old. Did you experience any type of backlash or any type of negative
No,
response
they
from?
didn't. They did not. They just treat you when you got in that school. They treat you just like you was one of the white.
Mm,
They never say this. You couldn't come in there. You didn't do this. You that. They didn't say that.
mm.
They handle you just like they handle the rest of the kids.
So basically, so that and that's what I wanted to, to get that point across. Even though, saying that there was during the time there was a great deal of tension going on at the time, regardless of what they felt, I still was treated as a person, as a human being, and that's what you felt as well. So, and like all the functions and stuff like that you did attend and stuff like that, because my mama did come to a lot of functions and stuff. Did you feel any difference in terms of and
No,
beyond?
no, because they had that. I didn't feel I got right in with them.
Right. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. See, so I'm glad because I want to bring you on so that I can get a real true understanding and whatnot of how it was in the beginning in going to the school whatnot, because it was something that I didn't really think about, but now it's something that I look back and say, well, me and Tamika was the only black people that was at the school. But
Right, right, right.
you have any final words that you want to say in terms of me going to the school for the vision impaired? I mean, you can be honest if you enjoyed, or if it was a struggle for you as a parent. Do you have any final words that you want to
No, I didn't never have no struggle up in the thing, Anthony. But I like after me start going there, I like this school because everybody start liking you and enjoying being around you.
Okay. Well, that's, I appreciate that, and because like I'm surprised that she was able to come on, because I don't really get too much information from her. But I want to thank you for coming on, and I'm gonna call I'll call you later, Mom. Thank you.
All right,
All right.
okay.
But yeah, okay. So that was her opinion about it. I mean, as far as setting a trend of being a trendsetter, it was really something that was brought to my attention, as I mentioned, by my fiance, because I was like, man, I didn't really think about the impact that I did have as far as me being the only black individual. Now I want to talk about some of the experience as I grew up later on in time. There were some remarks that were made by some of the teachers and stuff like that. Like I can remember one specific one. I used to wear Stacey Adams and stuff, and I had some tacks. I used, that was in the time when they used to put tacks on the bottom of the shoes and stuff like that. One of the teachers said, I don't know if she pulled me to the side or whatever. I don't know how it was, how the information was made to me, but she was like, you will be good at tap dancing. And I don't know if I respond. I don't think I was like 12 or 13, but I don't know if I made a response to that or whatever the case may be. But at that time, I didn't realize maybe the racial undertones about that, and people probably would say, "Well, she was just no." I think at this point in time, there was a racial undertone to that particular statement. Even in fifth grade, I want to thank my teacher, Miss ATN, who actually brought me out of a lot of my shyness, because we merged in 1978. We merged in 1978, and at that time, at that time, before that, I'm doing two things. That time there were no blacks, so I was the first black, along with Tamika, who's no longer long longer with us, to integrate in the school. And when that happened, I kind of got a lot of flack from a lot of individuals from the School for the Blind on Southern's campus. And I want to play a little clip to if when I pull up, I want to play a clip to show you exactly what was going on in my mind at the time, and the thoughts that I had at that time as well. So hold on. And this was because there was integration in 1978, and people were like, by me being black, they assumed that because of the fact that I was black, that I should, abandon, the friends that I had already made. And that was not the case. I understood that I was a black person. I understood, the fact that my mom and dad raised me in the right way in order to love each other for, whom they are, as opposed to just the color of their skin. Because first of all, I couldn't see that, but I had to actually learn them, and learn to love individuals for the color, for who they are as opposed to color. Um, it was a situation that they couldn't understand, in terms of the people who came to the school from Southern. It was a situation that they didn't understand. And let me play one of the clips, and let you know exactly how I felt at that time. Here we go. There were instances, as a matter of fact, I was talking to a coworker of mine who was at the school for the visually impaired, and I talked about, and I'm gonna be real, talked about the racial tensions that had come up once Louisiana School for the Visually Impaired had merged with the people from Southern, and I had already been, friends with individuals who were at the school for the visually impaired before then, and as a black person, and these were white people that I had become great friends with, and then these were the people that were coming over were people who were black, and they were like upset because I was a friends with these people who were white and what. But the thing is, because of the fact that I was raised, accordingly, I did not jump ship and say, okay, well, these are my friends, and just forget about the whole situation. And what I mean by the whole situation was that I was raised, as I mentioned, to love each other as, as one. Though as I got older, I realized that, there is racism. You know what I'm saying? And I had to acknowledge that, because one thing that came to mind before I graduated from the school for the it was then now the visually impaired school for the visually impaired, was that I graduated valedictorian of my class, and the guy who was salutatorian was Kevin Lightfoot. And I remember this white teacher who is no longer with us at the time, had told me that, who the Val was and who the Sal was. And at the time, I was like, oh, I was excited, but he tried to bust my bubble, which he really didn't, and told me that, he said, well, okay, you're the Val, you're the Sal, but you beat this white guy out by, I think it was a point and a half or whatever the case may be. So in essence, he tried to steal my joy, which he didn't at the time, because at that point in time, I was realizing, I was 18, 17. I was realizing that, um, you know, who I was realizing the whole situation in terms of what people were doing or how racism is very prevalent, and I didn't want to get sidetracked. But to say all that I did know, coming up as I started to become, into my own and stronger within myself, I was realizing that you can't always be sure that even though people of a different race are your friends, you still have to understand that there may be undertones that racial undertones that people might present to you, and you have to kind of like decipher that. But it was constantly a struggle going there. And like I said, I wanted to get my mom's opinion, and that's her opinion. But me personally, I had to fill out a lot of things. There was some racial almost, and I talked to my white friends about this. I don't know what year it was, but when the blacks at the time from Southern integrated the school in 1978, I think a couple of years later, there was about to be some racial. It was a great deal of racial tension, and there was about to be a fight. I remember that specifically during lunchtime, and I joke with my white friends about it a lot, but they laugh. A lot of them laugh it off, but you don't really realize that could have really, um, you know, catapulted to something very serious because, I don't know if it was something that transpired before then or whatever the case may be, but it was something. It was something very serious that they had to basically taken into consideration. But it was stopped. It was it didn't go any further. And by that same token, I'm gonna play another clip by my friend of mine who was white, and he had a little, kind of a little something to say about that as well. Okay, let me find that clip. Let me see. This might be the right clip right here. Okay. What made you, first of all, see past color lines?
It was all about the things we had in common, the fact that we loved each other, the fact that we looked out after each other, and obviously, and I thank God that you and I never went through this. I know as we got older,
Mm.
maybe there were some incidents around us that
Right.
caused issues and things like that, but just for different situations, but circumstances. But that never was an issue with you and I.
That was very interesting coming from somebody who was visually impaired and white. So this guy I've been knowing for a long time. So I really took it that what he said was really true to heart. But he also said something that was very important to me. And this and again, I want to thank my girlfriend for actually bringing it to the forefront. That made me realize how important I was in bridging the gap between the black and the white community, because I was pulled at both sides when, like, as I mentioned, when the school for the blind merged with the one on Government Street. I was pulled because there were a lot of friends who I had already made, when I started in 1973, and then there were other people that were coming over, who, I mean, in most cases, I developed a great deal of respect and a great deal of friendship with. But in the beginning, it was hard as hell because they were of the assumption that because I was black, that I should just basically just forget about everything and just join their, just be with them or whatever. But no, I had already been developed a sense of friendship, and I didn't really see whether they were white or black. They were just human beings to me. But this is what basically transpired, in my mind at that time, how I felt.
So let me say this about you, my brother. So I think that even though you didn't know it, even though you're at a young age and you might not have even realized,
Mhm.
I think you during that time, whenever the schools integrated,
Mhm.
that you were a key part of being a bridge. Even though maybe
That's deep.
it maybe even though it didn't maybe feel like it, maybe you felt pulled in every different
Mhm.
direction. You got pulled by both sides, but
Mhm.
honestly, you can't be pulled and anchored to two sides if you're not a bridge. And so I believe that you were part of that, of being able to bridge, the maybe the preconceptions that people had whenever the
That's deep.
schools merged.
Never thought about it like that. Never. Go ahead.
And so I believe that you were a key part of that. And like I said, even though you maybe have felt stretched or maybe be
Mhm.
pulled in the middle, but that's exactly what a bridge does. It brings two sides together, and you can't bring two sides together if you're not connected to two sides. So you were a big part of that. And I think I never really even stopped and thought about that. Thought about that until now. So
Really, it does make a great deal of sense. I mean, to me, it does. As far as what he stated, and this is a guy I've been knowing for a long, long, long time and whatnot. But along the way, I've experienced a great deal. And before I close, I want to give a shout out to Miss Aten because when I think I was in fifth grade, and that was my fifth grade. I think she was my homeroom teacher and stuff like that. And I don't know if it was because I was shy or whatever, or what she saw about individuals who are white. But me being the only black person still in the homeroom classes and all the other classes, she pulled me to the side and told me that there were questions that she was asking, and she knew that I knew the answer and stuff like that because I guess looking at the way my mouth was moving, and or was I wasn't afraid, but just that I wasn't quick enough or whatever. Put me to the side and said, don't you ever let these white people take your answers, or you speak up or whatever. And I'm just being verbatim speaking in terms of what she really told to me. And from that point on, it wasn't anything that I was like, okay, I'm not trying to hear what you're saying, blah blah blah. No, it was just matter of advice, and just along the way, it was helping me understand who I was, my blackness, and just allowed me to come into my own at that time and whatnot, because I was still getting a lot of flack, even though I played the clip that mentioned about how black people wanted me just to abandon the ship and just ride with them, and I had much of an understanding that that was not the case, but uh, I was still getting a little flax, as you will, um, and it was not directed, but it was indirect whenever uh, things were. Let me put it like this: white folks who I hang with at the time, there was a time specifically when we were on a tour and some things happened, and one of the guys had said a racial slur. It wasn't directed to me, but he said I was acting like a N word because of some things that had transpired. I'm just trying to put my whole heart out there and let y'all know. And it was about to become an altercation in my belief, because I was about to do some things, and this was making me realize that I was slowly coming into my own. And it wasn't a situation, that I was gonna allow people of a different race just to say what they want to say because we were friends. No, I really, and I don't know what it was, but I really felt something deep down inside to know that this wasn't right, that people should be saying. But that was interesting, and I wanted to put that out. But again, thanks to Miss ATN for bringing me out my shell to let me know that, hey, I felt like what Jesse Jackson was saying, I am somebody, which I already knew, but don't let nobody take your shine. If you know what you know what you know. And the last clip that I want to play by a white friend of mine, by us being visually impaired, I asked him why he never and he being white, and I'm me being black, why he never focused on the white and black issue. And this is what he had to say about that. What made you, first of all, see past color lines?
it was all about the things we had in common.
What made you, first of all, see past color lines?
It was all about the things we had in common. the fact that we love each other, the fact we looked out after each other, and obviously, and I thank God that you and I never went through this. I know as we got older,
Mm.
maybe there were some incidents around us that
Right.
caused issues and things like that, but just for different situations, but circumstances. But that
What made you, first of all, see past color lines?
it was all about the
What made you, first of all, see past color lines?
it was all about the things we had in common, the fact that we love each other, the fact we looked out after each other, and obviously, and I thank God that you and I never went through this. I know as we got older,
Mm.
maybe there were some incidents around us that
Right.
caused issues and things like that, but just for different situations, but circumstances. But that never was an issue with you and I.
Made me understand that sometimes when if you have other things that are that you're dealing with, from being visually impaired, from being impaired in other ways, shapes, or form, and you are people of a different race or color, creed, whatever, you don't really focus on that. You focus on things that's going to bring you together, and sort of build on that, which is what what he was getting at, and I appreciate him for just showing his honesty and whatnot. But all in all, I say, if I were to put a percentage of how much struggle that I had going to all way school, it was about, maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, I say, uh, the fact that I persevered and put that other bullshit to the side in terms of what was stated to me. I graduated and became the val of my class. There was a good thing. So on the scale of 1 to 10, the good outweighed the bad. So I say about a 7 and some change. Because I could have broken and allowed that to actually get to me. And I'm glad that I was fortunate enough to not that to not let to not let it affect me in any way, shape, or form. So I want to get this off my chest and explain to you exactly how it was going to my going to a school, that was predominantly white and what have you. And you see where it made me, see how where it got me, and in hopes of helping individuals who are coming up behind me, to basically suck it up, deal with it, and understand that, say, you if you become a person who is strong within what you feel and what you want to believe, you stay strong within that, and that's all that matters. So that's okay. Hey, Maria, how you doing? I'm reading some comments. Okay, all right, Danny, I got you, baby. No, it shouldn't matter. Skin color shouldn't matter, but that's basically, it depends on how you are raised, and strongly I believe that racism at a young age is really taught to people. And I was speaking to someone about that recently. It's really tough, because if you're 5 years old, you don't know anything about that. But if you are raised by your parents who've already had it instilled in them, it just trickles down from one generation to the next and whatnot. Because you can't just grow up, come out your mom's womb and say, well, I don't like black people, I don't like white people. You are actually taught that. That's my belief. Yeah, exactly. So So look, I want to thank y'all for coming on and sharing this. Please share the video. I want I want to thank y'all for sharing you all's time and at least giving it a little bit to me and letting me know how y'all feel about it. So continue to support Third Eye Visions, where we motivate the blind, stimulate your mind, and welcome all kind. I really wish I had somebody else to click on these things because that's what I was doing. That's why it was taking a lot from my concentration. But y'all got what I got. Love y'all. Love y'all.